Hey, what's up, everyone? It's question of the week time on the Fat Muscle Project podcast. Lisa, this is a fun one. Go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. We have a great question today, which is I only have 3 times about 45 minutes per week available for training. I want to build muscle in the most well-rounded way possible. What exercises would you definitely include in my full body training split?
Oh, and a full body training split. Okay, because I was thinking as soon as you read that, I was thinking if you only have 3 days a week, well, here, let's just start it off this way. If you have 3 days a week to train, a full body split 3 times a week is probably not going to be the most optimal for overall muscle growth, and I'll explain why. Your joints and tendons take 4 days, 5 days sometimes to recover. And if you're hitting your full body 3 times a week, your joints and tendons are going to stay under recovered and ultimately could lead to injuries. That's why we see a lot of injuries in things like CrossFit, where you're training your joints so often, the frequency is so high. We can go over a full body workout to talk about the best growth for that, but I would split it up a little bit differently. And the way I would
Okay,
split it
tell us
up,
how you would, yeah, how you would split it up.
I would maximize different body parts on each day, but get in all your body parts in a week. And the best way to do that I have found is you can either do an upper, lower, upper split, but I like to break it out into a push pull leg split.
Okay.
And I like to make sure that there's enough volume there. So if you guys want, what we're gonna do is link this in the show notes. I don't know if I'll just be able to copy and paste it in the show notes, or if we'll have a Google Drive link that you can download it from. Lisa and I are going to figure that out. But either way, we're going to make sure you've got an example of this push pull legs workout in. And the thing is for muscle growth, if you're only going to train your body parts once a week, you really need to maximize the training on that. So push is chest, shoulders, and triceps. And what I like to do is recommend, like on a Monday, do push, a Wednesday, do pull, and on a Friday, do legs. And that lets you spread out your recovery. You get a day after your training to recover, and then you turn around and train again. And that's for 3 days, that's pretty good because what you're doing is training, and all the food that you're eating in that day is going to fuel the training and it's going to fuel the recovery and the growth after your training. But then the whole next day, you're replenishing glycogen, you're fueling growth. That's the next thing. You need to fuel growth the next day, and you're not training, you're not tearing anything else down. By the time you go from Monday's workout to Wednesday's, your push day, you're essentially almost all the way recovered from it. And then you're going to train pull body parts. And then you're going to fuel that. And then you're going to recover on Thursday. And, ideally, if you train hard enough, you should get some pretty good muscle gain out of 3 days a week. Now, if you train full body 3 days a week, you can only break your chest down so much. You can only break your shoulders down so much, your back so much. Each body part is spread out. You can only do so much to break it down with a muscle from a muscle damage standpoint, that you're not going to be able to elicit as much growth. And that's the tough thing. I'd rather split it up. And you want to give body parts 3 to 4 days to recover from a muscle protein synthesis standpoint as well. Because training the same body part 3 times a week, you're not going to get as much growth out of it as if you did twice a week, for example. So I like the push pull leg split. And I can just tell you a real quick example. You guys will see
I
it in the
will just
show notes.
intersect here briefly. Like I mean, from what I know, the research, most recent research, really, I think digs into basically if the volume is the same, you can do, a full body split, or you can split it up differently. But to your point of recovery, that's probably going to be the limiting factor for a lot of people. I think it is very individual. So someone like me, or I do know some people, like if they think they have to do a full, like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours of just legs, they're going to be fried, and like get all their volume in that one session, going to be super fried. So I personally would probably prefer and recover better by splitting that same volume up a little bit more. But of course, you still have to account for recovery time and what muscle groups do you actually want to optimize here. But since that person is saying they only have 45 minutes anyway, we're going to have to squeeze a lot into that. So we're not getting to that scenario of what I was saying of like, ugh, an hour and a half of just legs and completely being fried for like 2 days afterwards. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that like from the research at the moment, at least like total weekly volume is the most important thing. And it depends on how you can split it up or what works best for you in terms of recovery.
Yeah, it's such a complex puzzle on this push day, and then we'll go to an upper lower upper split and how that alternates each week, which honestly, thinking about it, may be the ultimate way, but more on that in a minute. So a push day, for example, your chest, you might do the bench press 3 times, incline bench 3 times, and then flies 3 times, and then you move on to shoulders, and you do 3 exercises for shoulders, 3 sets each. Maybe you do 4. It depends. Like everybody's different, but I like to start people at 3 exercises, 3 sets each. And then you move on to triceps, 3 exercises, 3 sets each, and that's done. And if you're moving pretty well, you can get that done in under an hour. And that's the thing is, as you get older, you need time to warm up. And like if you're warming up for 10 minutes, now you've only got 35 minutes to work out. A lot of this comes, and I get it, some people really only do have 45 minutes, but as you get older in this, you've got to find a way to make more time to warm up. Like there's somewhere in there, you've got time, you just have to prioritize it. Like saying you only have 45 minutes, I've noticed you got to prioritize your time. So probably the ultimate way now that I'm really thinking about this is if you can train your body parts twice a week within a 3 day time span, you're always going to maximize muscle gain if you can train a body part twice in a week, for example. Because 3 to 4 days after you train a body part, it's ready to be stimulated and grow again. So here's a good example, and it will change every week, but it's a real simple change. So upper, lower, upper split. So Monday would be upper, Wednesday lower, Friday would be upper again. But now what you see is you're training your upper body twice in this week, right? And legs once. But now in the next week, now you flip it. Now you
Oh,
do
I like that.
legs, upper, legs. So essentially what's happening is you're training upper body every 4 days, you're training lower body every 4 days. So basically it's just they leapfrog each other. And it's a real simple way to do it. I learned that way back in the Body for Life days. You need to train hard. Like when you train all your upper body together, you need to train hard because
Mhm.
you've got the time to recover, and you're not going to be able to do as much volume, right? Because you've got more body parts to get in. So on a push day, like you're only doing, chest, shoulders, tries. On an upper day, you're doing your whole upper body, and you're trying to get in 45 minutes. So you need to train hard because the volume and total sets won't be as high.
My point there would be that this could be a place to jump in with supersets. So, I mean, and
Yeah.
how you wanted to do that, if you wanted to utilize them to fry a muscle group even more, or if you wanted to utilize them in a way that very opposing muscle groups, so that that other muscle group actually gets rest while you're doing the other sort of set. So that could be one way to kind of get a little bit at least around the time thing, where you're like, well, I'm doing bench press and then I'm only resting 45 seconds, and I'm doing row, and then I'm doing chest flies, and then I'm doing whatever triceps extensions, or like I don't know, but like supersetting them in that way could save a little bit of time anyway.
Yeah. On the upper body workouts, what I like to do is pair up 2 exercises. So you might be doing, flat dumbbell press and flies. And, you're doing 4 sets of each. And that's 8 total sets, but you're doing this twice in a week. So now you've got 16 total sets for the week. So your volume's there. But sometimes you need to superset that stuff if you're in a hurry, or you need to take shorter rest periods and do some higher rep work. As long as you train to failure, that's the main thing. None of these splits are going to trump a 5 day split as someone that's healthy, right? We're not trying to compare training 3 days a week to five, right?
Back to
But
the
to
point of total volume, exactly.
Exactly. You want to make the best of what you can in 3 days. And I think either a push pull legs or an upper lower upper variation each week split would definitely work the best if that's all that you can do. Just like I
Mm-hmm.
said, train hard and your volume spread out. So you're right, Lisa. Like train hard and get your volume in. And then obviously goes with that being said, we all know you got to have enough protein, you got to have enough calories to grow. that's a whole other podcast in and of itself.
I was just going to throw in there as well because the part of the question was also, what sort of exercises specifically, and since he's or that person is so crunched on time, definitely relying more on compounds and would be my advice probably because you hit more muscle groups at the same time as opposed to doing a gazillion individual like or isolation exercises. You might be better off focusing on the compounds like things like deadlifts, remaining deadlifts, squats for the legs or hip thrusts, and then things like shoulder press, bench press, and that sort of stuff for upper body or pulling movements. That was the only other thing I was going to throw in there.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's just in a perfect world, is it ideal? No, but your perfect world may be 3 days a week. So you get in and you make it happen. I've seen plenty of people put muscle on training 3 days a week because if they trained five, they would be overreached and they wouldn't be making progress really pretty much anyway. So it can lead to all kinds of other issues. So if 3 days a week is what you're doing, just get in there and make it happen.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that pretty much covers that. If you guys ever need to hit us up with questions, topics, anything like that, see the show notes. You can message either Lisa or myself, and we just ask that you share this, share it with a friend, share it on social, tag us, leave a review. That really helps us get that out. And we'll be back next with an episode of the science of carving up, and that is going to be a blast. I'm geeking out just thinking about it because there's so many different ways to do carve ups. I've literally done everything under the sun with myself and clients. So I'm really excited to tell you about some of the shit not to do, what doesn't work, but what's fun, especially if you want to be a fat kid, PHAT fat kid. But for myself and Lisa, we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.
See you.